So let's talk a little bit about mindset mastery. And as I said in the overview, mindset mastery really falls into two categories. Our own mastery of our own mind and mastery over our client's mind. Let's consider a couple of different things. Number one, focusing with our clients, understanding what are their real concerns. I know you're probably having lots of conversations where you're having to talk to your clients down from the ledge, that they're thinking about selling out, that they're thinking about liquidating their entire portfolio, and they're just scared to death and wondering if Chicken Little is right and the sky actually is falling. But what is it specifically that they're concerned about? In people that I talk to in their neighborhoods, two very common concerns, and probably the two people who are most nervous about what's going on in the marketplace, are those people 3 to 4 years or less before retirement, or 3 to 4 years or less into retirement, wondering they had everything in place where they thought that they were going to be able to retire at a certain date. Now suddenly over the course of the last 18 months, the market's down 35 to 40%, and they're wondering if they really have a plan in place to be able to do that. They're wondering if they're going to be able to fund their dreams. So it's a mistake to get focused on just market performance. Market performance is relevant only to the point of how it affects their goals and objectives. So as we're talking to clients, we need to make sure that that's what we're focusing on. We need to make sure that we're addressing their real concerns. So whether or not a fund happens to be down more, or their portfolio is out of balance, or they don't have adequate diversification, or they're missing a certain asset class in their portfolio, all of those things could be something that you need to, as a financial advisor, be addressing for them and making sure that they are properly aligned. But that's not what they're worried about. They're worried about, am I going to be able to educate my children? Am I going to be able to retire? Am I going to be able to live in the lifestyle that I thought? And you need to make sure that during your conversations, you're addressing those concerns. You need to understand that the market performance that we're witnessing today is outside of their relevant range. And their relevant range is what's normal to them in their mindset. And it's different for everybody. I'll use myself as an example. As a financial advisor, I expected the market returns to be different every single year. You know, one year it might be up 7, the next year up 18, the next year up 28, the next year it might be down 4 or 6. And for me, anything that was less than up 30% or greater than down 10%, as long as it wasn't double digits, that I thought these are pretty normal returns that we're used to seeing in the marketplace. But when you get to a point like we were back in the late 90s, where you were getting 50% returns back to back, then all of a sudden you know things are very abnormal right now. Or if you're in a market condition where you can pick a point in the past and say we're down 35, 40, at one point we were even approaching 50%, that's outside of the relevant range for most people. And that's important to you as a financial advisor, because that's when people begin looking for answers. They go on a search. It's something that's outside of normal, so they say, something's going on here, and I need to figure out what the heck it is. And if you were an advisor back in 89, 90, early part of 2000, before the tech bubble started to burst, you probably found that that was also a very easy time to be opening new accounts, beginning new relationships, gathering additional dollars from your clients if you were keeping in good contact for them, because their unconscious mind was triggered to say, hey, what's going on here? Something is, I need to pay attention to this and it sends them on a search looking for answers. So regardless of what the low side relevant range is for most clients, in today's market, it's below it. And your clients, as well as your prospects, are out there looking for answers. So we want to recognize this and use it to our advantage. We need to get very clear also on understanding what our clients really want. Being able to figure out what I call their compelling emotional outcomes. What it is that they care so deeply about that they would literally walk across broken glass in their bare feet to be able to get it. Because once you've tapped into their compelling emotional outcomes, now you're increasing their sense of urgency and the likelihood that they're looking to move forward. I'll just ask you to do a quick exercise. Think about your professional life today. And think about, obviously we're not interacting here, so I don't have the ability to get the feedback from you. But just think for yourself, what's one thing that I could be doing in my practice today that would increase the results that I'm getting? Either get things bigger, better, faster, or be able to do it with less effort. And it doesn't have to be the biggest thing, just a thing that would be an improvement if you were to integrate it into your practice. All right, go. You got it? When I do that in a live event, normally 85 to 90% of the people in just 3 seconds can think of something that they should be taking action on. But they haven't taken action on that. Here's the second part of the exercise. Go back to the beginning of the year, New Year's Eve. And if I was to ask you that same question on New Year's Eve, might that have also been on your list? If the answer to that is yes, then you're looking at something that you should be doing, but the sense of urgency isn't to the point yet where you've gotten to act on it. And the secret to doing that is being able to tap into the emotion of what would happen if you were to do that. So in the case of our clients, as we dive into their compelling emotional outcomes and understanding what it is that they're really looking to achieve, we're going to increase their sense of urgency and move them into action. So now let's talk a little bit about financial advisors and some of the mental mistakes that we make in dealing with a market like this. The biggest one is the attitude of, it's not my fault. And here's how that manifests itself. Let's say you've been out on appointments all day, or you've been in a meeting or an off-site someplace, and you come back to the office and you've got a half a dozen phone messages from very good clients of yours. And you look at the names and you know what they've got in their portfolio, and you're thinking to yourself, this could be brutal. And you start making phone calls. What is it that you're thinking about as you begin to make those telephone calls? For a lot of the advisors that I ask that question to, they say, I just want to save the account. I just want to get them to hold tight. I just want to talk them down off of the ledge and continue the relationship with us. So our goal then becomes the status quo. If the status quo is your goal, if that's the outcome that you're looking for on a call, it's very difficult to move the relationship beyond that. Another big mistake is hanging around with the other brokers in the office who are just having a tough time. Misery loves company. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, having that mentality that if I can just batten down the hatches, if I can just weather the storm, if I can just get through it, things are going to be fine on the other side. As smooth as the sea in this particular slide. We need to change that mindset. We need to recognize that this is a unique opportunity that we may never see in our lifetime again, and prepare and plan to take appropriate action, which we'll be talking about on the next video in this series. I'll see you there.